I'm sorry. Let me say that again then. Thank you, Sharnetta. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 10K Project. Put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you. We're getting started on live streaming. We've got our beautiful guest here, Robyn Mancell, my partner in wealth. I'm not going to call her partner in crime. I'm going to call her partner in wealth. Y'all can tell her I said it. Tawana is on a much needed vacation, so we hope that she is enjoying herself. But you got us here today. Put your city and state in the chat. I'm just getting us started. How you doing, Robyn? Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, yes. So, all righty then. I got us. Just want to make sure I can see everything just in case. We have people in YouTube or Facebook who usually join us. Where are we in Twitter? I don't know. Something must be wrong with our Twitter live streams, but that's okay. All righty then. You know what? Technology, we keep it moving, right? And you're unmuted. So you're on mute. Sorry, Robyn. So we have Natasha here from New York. Natasha, let me know if you ever heard from the people about the speaking. I sent them 2 emails. I don't know if they ever reached out to you. I gave them your information. We have here Charlotte, North Carolina. We have Chicago, St. Louis, New York, DC. Natasha's saying, no, I haven't. Okay, I will try them again. I've sent them 2 emails. Kevin from Accokeek. Robyn, you're still on mute. We've got John here in YouTube from Atlanta. We've got Cecilia from Atlanta here in Zoom. Hello to everybody. Hello, hello, hello. We hope everybody is doing well. All righty then. So we've got Queens in the house. We've got Durham, UK. Wow, must be pretty late there. Welcome. Got a couple of Atlantas here. Atlanta's really represented today. Another third peach, 4th peach actually from Atlanta. We got Houston in the house. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and for sharing your time with us, because we understand that your time is your most valuable thing here. So we're going to hop right on in. Welcome to the 10K Project. My name is Cherie. I am the co-founder. The 10K Project is the largest community of investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses, as well as participate in alternative investing. So there are a myriad of ways that you can, a myriad of things you can invest in as you're building your portfolio. You could do stocks, you could do I-bonds, you could do tax liens, real estate, but there's one thing a lot of us don't consider investing in, and that is businesses that are already up, running, making money, making profit, cash flowing businesses. And I'm a super huge fan of us as Black people investing in businesses. Robyn is an expert in it. She has not only purchased businesses, but she also teaches the 10K Project community, along with a gentleman named Curtis Witt, how to do it. And she also has opportunities for people to potentially invest in businesses as well. So with that, Robyn, hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing good. So
you guys are my second home now.
Well, we hope so. You know, one of the things that people have said for many years is that Black wealth is on the path to zero by 2053. Initially, that was before COVID. I think after COVID, it's probably accelerated. But I'm hearing of Black people who are getting into buying businesses. And there are a lot of different businesses out there that we could potentially purchase.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you actually even stumbled on this as an investment opportunity.
Okay, so I've been a serial entrepreneur for about 30 years.
Mhm.
Been a solo entrepreneur, and then I've had companies that I've run from real estate to I was an executive recruiter. I had my insurance license. I was insurance a Series 6 license. So kind of was out there after I left corporate America. I just wanted the freedom, the time freedom, and I wanted to get rid of that glass ceiling. So that was for me. And I also had children that I was going through a divorce, and I just wanted my time back. And I've known my business partner who you spoke up briefly, Curtis. I've known Curtis for 30 years. We did the first Black and Hispanic Business Expo here I'm in Southern California. So we did the first Black and Hispanic Business Expo because we wanted to show the youth that there were people that looked like them that had businesses. And we had over 200 businesses at the convention center. So it was
That's a
really,
big deal.
it is a big deal because nobody's ever done it since out in this area.
Wow. How long ago
Yeah.
was that?
Oh my gosh. I was pregnant with my youngest son, and he's going to be 30 in October.
I thought you
As
were going to
a
say 5 years. Oh my goodness.
No, what happened is we used to go to the Black Expo,
Mhm.
which was run by a woman by the name of Barbara Lindsay before Barbara
Mhm.
sold it to Founders Bank. And I was just so in awe of what was being done in Los Angeles. They had the entire LA Convention Center. And so I wanted to do something out in our area, which is a suburb about an hour outside of LA. So Curtis and I, that was like one of our first projects. We put that on, had over 200 vendors there. Car dealerships let us drive their cars off the lot. This is one of the ways you get to see that people, if you do something or you're innovative, a lot of people will participate in that. So
Mhm.
Curtis then, detours were made. Curtis went to work for Boeing.
Mhm.
And I continued my reign, trying to figure this whole self-employed or entrepreneur thing out. And over that time, we stayed close. We're like brother and sister. Curtis is a godfather of my children. And he left Boeing. I've been trying to get him to leave Boeing for a long time. But anyway, when he did leave, he said, I need to talk to you about something. He literally drove to my house from Arizona. He got in his car and he drove. And I said, I need to draw something out for you and I need you to see this. And what he was talking about was buying businesses. So the first thing he did was he told me to read Built to Sell. And you guys know about that because
Mhm.
we have
Well,
students
not
there.
everybody here because not everybody, we have lots of new people. So,
Yeah.
we'll definitely have you come back and talk about the books.
Okay. So we did that. We created a group. I've been a 10K member for about 2 years, I think, before we started working together. And I was just so in awe of this information. We did it.
Mhm.
We took a small group of five or six individuals that went through. Curtis said, "Let me prove to you that this works."
Mhm.
And out of those six, three bought their own businesses from that 12-week course that Curtis had did with a small group of people. He wanted me to see that it does work. And so then we said, well, look, how do we get this information out into the Black community,
Mhm.
women,
Mhm.
people of color? Because as much as I'd been out there in the world, I didn't know how big a deal this was going to be, that baby boomers are retiring.
Mhm.
There are millions of baby boomers, and 70% of their businesses are profitable. So sometimes when you think about buying a business, I don't honestly, I don't even think a lot of people think about it because we want to start a business ourselves. We have our dreams, our aspirations, we want to start our business, but there is an option to that or an add on, and that is buying a business that's already profitable. And
Mhm.
because the baby boomers are retiring, it's like a huge wealth transfer that a lot of
Yeah.
people are not familiar with. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
So as I've been listening to a lot of different wealth building podcasts over many years, one of the big things that I'm listening to now is there's going to be a time where it's going to be difficult for regular people to buy real estate. Have you been
Hmm.
hearing that?
Yes, I
And
have.
yeah, and this society is really kind of stretching and moving into the haves and the have-nots. But I do see that businesses can be kind of like the great equalizer, right? Being
Hmm.
able to have a business that is cash flowing, where um, even if you're doing it full time, you are
Hmm.
still able to take it, first of all, to potentially a bank and get funded if that's what you choose to do,
Hmm.
or you are able to do some sort of what do you call
Creative
it?
financing, creative
Creative
finance.
financing. Or some of the things that you talk about is like, bringing people together, could be a family bank, could be a group of friends that are
Yeah.
family, etc. Talk to us about some of the trends that you're seeing within business buying itself
Mhm.
and how people are actually coming together to get deals done.
So the trends, which I'm happy to see that we're participating in this, is group economics.
Hmm.
You hear group economics. I've heard you talk about Claude Anderson and
Hmm.
different people, but you haven't really seen us doing it.
Hmm.
So with these businesses that we buy, um, we've become extremely creative. As you know, Curtis created something called the sustainable deal structure,
Hmm.
and that is a way for the exiting business owner to still participate in the sale of the business and retain some income from that.
Hmm.
And so when you talked about real estate, the pricing in real estate is just getting to be astronomical. They say the pricing is coming down. I haven't seen a whole lot of that yet, but think about spending a lot less money, but being able to do almost the same thing. So
Hmm.
just kind of change that out. For example, we bought a property, not a property, we bought a business for $68,000. So let's just say under 100,000, which where can you find property anymore for that price? But it's cash
Not with
flowing
not
for
that not that's cash flowing. It usually needs a
that.
lot of rehab. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's we have to learn the numbers. We have to
Hmm.
learn how to look at the numbers. And so if you buy something for 68,000 and it's cash flowing $4,000. That's
Hmm.
cash flowing after. When we use the term cash flowing, we're talking about after everything is paid. That's what's coming. That's your profit, right? Well, where can you spend that kind of money and get the same kind of rate of return um, in the real estate market? And so real estate investors are even looking for something different that they can do themselves. So there's just a lot of different opportunities. The owner can carry paper. You can extract from the business because we buy the entire entity. We're not
Hmm.
looking at buying a business for our own personal use. That business has to fit a particular criteria for us to buy it. You can, like as we've done, our students are now micro private equity firms.
Hmm.
They're raising money, which you can do from family, friends, and relatives.
Hmm.
And they're raising money and they are bringing investors into those deals. So they're not coming out of pocket any money,
Yeah.
but yet they're being able to turn a profit off of doing a business that they didn't have to come up with the full amount of the money. So you can think of it you remember wholesaling, flipping, things like that with real estate.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody's familiar with that, but go continue,
Yeah.
continue
Well, you
on.
guys teach so many things. I have
We
to forget
do,
sometimes, but you
yeah.
teach
We
literally
do. We
everything.
just we just have so many people all the time, so many new
Yeah.
people that I never like to assume that everyone knows
Right.
everything. But continue on, and if we
Yeah.
have to dig a little deep, we can.
So it's just a little different in looking at the numbers. You just want to
Hmm.
look at now this is an industry where you can come into and literally a business that's already been made. If somebody's put 10 or 15 years into building, perhaps they did not use a lot of innovation for today. We're in the digital space, but it's good, solid business. And so we're looking at millions of businesses across the United States that are being sold by baby boomers who they're ready to retire. They're ready
Mhm.
to retire. They just want to sell that business at a decent price to them. And so we take you through that entire process. So you know whether or not the price that they're asking for is something that they just pluck from air, or is that a valid amount for that particular business. And it's definitely similar, but very different than what you do in real estate. Um, you can get alternative financing. You can get financing from the bank.
Mhm.
I talked to a alternative, that's an alternative fund for the part of the SBA, and you'd be surprised what kind of money is out there if they
Mhm.
are able to see that that's a good business. So we have
Yeah,
lots of
actually, the
options.
SBA, one of the things that the SBA knows is that small businesses employ, I
Mhm.
think it's 30 something percent of
Yeah.
people. So they, even though it seems like they always just care about big businesses in the United
Hmm.
States, which they do, the Walmarts, et cetera, have pull.
Right.
The government knows that without small businesses, they're going to have a major problem. So
Exactly.
I do foresee, as baby boomers are, wanting to retire, it
Hmm.
wouldn't
Hmm.
surprise me if there are extra funds that are given and deployed to the SBA in order to make sure that there are Gen Xers and
Absolutely.
millennials
Yeah.
that can take over these businesses. But I
You,
want to do a little rapid fire with you. I'm sorry, you want to say something and then
well,
I'll.
yeah, I do, because you led me down a path that I was going to talk about, and that is transitioning millennials and Gen X
Mhm.
into these businesses that are being exited by the baby boomers.
Can I ask you a
Somebody,
question before you do
you
that though?
sure can. You sure
What
can.
what types of businesses? Because I know some people are thinking now, these high tech businesses, or are these big businesses that I can't do? What kinds of businesses are available for people to buy?
So we focus on personal care, but there are lots of businesses out there, and the evaluation, the way you determine a business, it's the same, regardless of what kind of business it is. There might be something we call a multiple that might be different, but how you evaluate that business and what it is that you're looking for can apply to any business. We have a particular reason we like personal care. We
Mhm.
like personal care because no matter what happens in the world, we can't get our hair or our nails, or
Mhm.
we can't get that done online. And so we like that space because we don't foresee it. When is it ever going to go away? And it's a big business. The beauty business is very big,
Mhm.
profitable business.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons that we focus there. Now, we have had students that gone into other areas that are looking for something else,
Mhm.
and the same process will apply to whatever business they take a look at. So there are businesses in every category. There are restaurants. We've even encouraged one of our restaurants that wants to open up additional restaurants. We've even told them that they should look at buying an existing restaurant, because that
Mhm.
way they don't have to
Start all
spend as much
over.
money, not to start all
Mhm.
over. It could
Yeah.
already come with clients, and it might have everything already in it,
Mhm.
so they could spend a lot less money if they look at acquiring a business that it's no longer there.
I have a client now that's what they're doing. They're acquiring a restaurant and they're just changing the branding, but
Exactly.
it's already like they don't have to spend as much in construction, and they're
Hmm.
actually able to get an SBA loan because they're buying the business and then they're just going to
Exactly.
rebrand it for what they do.
Yeah.
So Talisha is saying, despite inflationary pressures, consumers are committed to keeping up appearances and remain devoted to their pets. Lord knows my mother and her dogs. So yeah, that is true with the pets.
Yeah.
Only 16% will cut beauty, personal care, and grooming services.
Hmm.
Pet services remain important to 84% of consumers
Hmm.
surveyed. Yes, that is
Sure.
absolutely true.
Hmm.
I will also say that any business you see will at some point be available for sale. My
Yeah.
accountant bought out the previous owner to his business,
Hmm.
and it's a very successful accounting firm, you know probably hundreds of clients, and
Hmm.
he was, the junior associate for many, many years, and he successfully bought out the founder slash
Yeah.
original owner of the
Hmm.
accounting service. My mother owns a bookkeeping service. A lot of accountants have asked her to purchase her bookkeeping service. So,
Yeah.
um, plumbing services, appliance repair, any kind of business that's out there that you could think of, they are for sale, and there will be some point when every business owner thinks, I'm ready to sell, sell this
Absolutely.
business if
That's
somebody
true.
comes with a good enough offer for me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to let people know that, because then you start to open your eyes to
Every.
every business that's out there,
Yeah.
painting services, et cetera. And one of the big things I'm suggesting to people is, instead of starting a business, to consider buying a business. That way you have cash flow coming in, and then you're able to add on, different marketing and
Uh-huh.
things like that, which Robyn and Curtis teach as well, like different things you can add in order to increase the valuation once it's purchased. But before we get to that,
Hmm.
we talked about people getting the money that they need, because I'm trying to get through people's objections, right? So
Okay.
what types of businesses they could buy, any type of business. The
Hmm.
money we've kind of talked about a little bit. Y'all are going to
Yeah.
have to get the class if you want to see it all, but a little bit about the different ways of creative financing. The third question I think that people have, third objection is, do I have to do the business full time? I like
Oh,
my full-time job. I
right.
need my benefits. I can't afford to leave my full-time job for
Hmm.
$4,000 a month, even though the 4,000 would be great, right?
Right.
Do
Right.
do I have to do the business full time?
No, we have a strategy, and we have a business model that
Mhm,
we will only purchase.
mhm,
And we look for businesses that have been operating as absentee owner.
mhm,
And that means that they have a manager. Like, you go to places, I'm sure now, when I owned a restaurant at one time, we had a manager there when we weren't there, and they ran the business. They probably could have continued to run the business, but it wasn't a dream of theirs to do that when we sold it. But we only buy businesses that will run from absentee owners.
mhm.
So we're
Okay.
not looking to put you in business. So that's one of our checklist. Is it absentee owner? If that business is dependent upon that business owner in order to run, we don't buy. Yeah, we don't buy businesses that require you to work. We buy them that run themselves, and then you're able to just check on that business. You probably have a couple of hours where you could just check on it and
Mhm.
see if everything's running correctly. We're not trying to put you in that business. So there's a lot of checks and balances to make sure that it has been running well. Like you said before, it'll have a client base, a database, credit usually, inventory. It's been running well. The only thing that it may need is for you to add value to it. And we do that with, what we call the digital twin, because a lot of baby boomers,
Mhm.
they really were before the digital age, and a lot have not caught up. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing for us to come in, add that digital twin, and now you doubled in some cases the income that was coming in just from it being a brick and mortar.
So in other words, what you're saying is that a lot of baby boomers are not as tech savvy, so they do not have a lot of the online things. I think that's what
Yeah.
you're saying, right? That we as millennial and Gen X are would have. So
Uh-huh.
we're able to come in and maybe, do things to enhance their online
Mhm.
presence in order for more. Okay, I want to make sure that I understood you
Millennials
properly.
and Gen X are, you grew up in this.
Hmm.
My kids are all millennials.
Hmm.
And in order for me to, continue this journey as an entrepreneur, I've had to stay on top of technology. And that might not be a theme for everybody,
Hmm.
especially if you're working your business, like your job,
Hmm.
then that might not be a theme that they were thinking about or concerned about.
Mhm.
But for millennials, that's a way of life.
Yeah.
That is a way of life to come in and keep up to date with the changes and pivot and yeah, that's nothing new for millennials or Gen X.
Now, what if it is a business that is not profitable? Is so they call it a turnaround business. That's
Mhm.
the fancier term for people. Um, do you ever buy turnaround businesses? Have you, do you suggest people buy turnaround businesses?
Well, we don't. We have a particular model. If you're going to be able to upsell that business and make a profit off of it,
Mhm,
everything that we look at has to do with the numbers.
mhm,
So the numbers would have to justify having or even having someone who would be interested in buying that business. So you have to have the market for that in order to um, go into that market.
mhm,
That's similar to what we talked about flipping, how people flip real estate.
mhm.
But you really, those numbers have to come out right,
Yeah.
and there's a whole process to that that isn't as simple as people think. I think now that we're talking about buying businesses, some people think, oh, that looks great, I like how it looks, I like where it is, and that's not one of the things we care about. We're looking
Mhm,
strictly at the numbers.
mhm.
Just think about Shark Tank. When you guys are watching,
Yeah.
when you're watching Shark Tank, and you think, oh, that sounds like such a great business, and your heart gets into it, and every now and then a shark, I think, does make more of an emotional decision, but 9 out of 10 times they want to know what the numbers, the sales,
Yeah.
they want to know all that, and that's the same thing with us.
Yeah, what's interesting about Shark Tank, and this is something that I think all of us can learn from, is
Hmm.
they get the feedback from each other as much
Hmm.
as they're listening to one-on-one to the entrepreneur.
Yeah,
So, for example, if Barbara feels all cuddly, but she has Mr. Wonderful or Mark Cuban on either side saying, but
yeah.
this doesn't make sense, it kind of jars you back into reality. So I do like the fact that you are talking about business buying clubs so that
Hmm.
one person doesn't get emotional and say, oh, but this is a great location. Oh, but I see so much potential. It's like, no, what did the numbers say? The numbers go against what we have decided on,
Yeah.
as a group.
Mhm.
Therefore, you kind of take the emotionality out of it. Latoya has a question. Where do you find businesses to buy?
So you can find them online. I mean, you could literally Google, but there are places, Biz, Buy,
Biz by
Sell,
Sell. Hmm.
um, Legal. I'm trying to think where I would find them, because we have now, as you know, we've advanced to where we have a team that does that. But
Yeah.
you literally can Google buy a business. You can find them from brokers, of course.
Hmm.
Brokers represent the seller,
Hmm.
and even brokers themselves don't know. And some have said that 90% of the pricing that businesses are asking to sell are out of touch. And this is what the brokers have said. But that's not their job
Hmm.
to tell them that. Their job is to just list it.
Yeah.
Um, but you can go to a commercial broker. Most of them, it's really easy to find them. What's not easy is the negotiation part of it. It's easy to find businesses. They're
Yeah.
always listed. Even on Craigslist, you can see them.
I'll give you a couple of other ideas as well. I always get emails, probably 2 times a week, from
Hmm.
people asking me blindly if I want to sell my business.
Hmm.
Now they don't know who I am at all, but there are a lot of people out there that are like cold reaching out to businesses.
Hmm.
Also, LinkedIn is
Yeah.
another way. Like if you have a specific type of business that you want to
Hmm.
buy, and that business owner is most likely on LinkedIn, reaching out, DMing them, sliding in their DMs, and
Yeah.
asking, because you never know. Today may be the day where they would consider an offer. And
Sure.
there's a Black woman, I am going to bring her on eventually. That's how she buys her businesses.
Hmm.
She has a specific type of business that she's looking for. She goes into the DMs on LinkedIn and, you know, eventually somebody will say,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll do an LOI, a letter of intent with you,
Hmm.
or NDA or whatever it is that
Right.
she
Hmm.
does, and they proceed on. So
Hmm.
sometimes you can get very creative
Right.
with the ways to find the owner and engage them. But
Mhm.
definitely do not walk through the front door and ask their employee if they're selling
Mm-mm.
the business, because
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
like a no. You do not want to alert the employees at all that the
Right.
owner is thinking of selling the business.
Yeah.
Talisha is saying the mastermind was so informative with the structure to enable a collective approach to business buying. I will say that the mastermind is absolutely awesome. Kevin is saying, just remind that Curtis is not advocating buying to keep, but buying to improve and then resale in 1 to 2 years. Kevin is also saying, I'm skeptical of the approach displayed in Shark Tank. There is no display/demonstration of due diligence over time. They make flip decisions and evaluations in the moment. So here's what happens on Shark Tank. On Shark Tank, number one
Right.
is now, after like the third season, when they got really, really popular, I think it was around the third season-ish, the
Hmm.
Shark Tank producers get a piece of every business that appears on Shark Tank. Because people were going on Shark Tank just to promote their business and then not actually signing the deals with sharks,
Right.
right? So that's one thing. The other thing that does happen is that the due diligence happens after, you know,
Right.
Mark Cuban says, yes, I'll invest, and, shaking their hands and things like that. And I can't remember what percentage, but it was a pretty high percentage of deals that
Hmm.
actually didn't go through
Yeah.
due to due diligence. So the third thing is Shark Tank is entertainment.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like looked at it too far on the other side of this is actually the way that you pitch versus
Mhm.
seeing that Shark Tank is, truly entertainment. But go ahead, Robyn. You had other things to say.
Well, that's true. Everything that you said. It is that it's TV.
Hmm.
It's TV. I watch court shows also. People's Court.
Hmm.
She sees that case isn't just brought in front of her for the show. She's
Hmm.
already seen it. She's already,
Hmm.
because she can't possibly know every state, the laws, and everything.
Hmm.
It's for entertainment. It's
Yeah.
strictly, but there is there are things to learn from that you can
Hmm.
pull from it, um, that can help you. Now when you watch it with a different eye
Hmm.
because of the things that we know. So when
Hmm.
someone says, give us the evaluation, we know now, right?
Hmm.
Does that sound right? How many sales are they? So I use it for, I before Curtis, I just liked the show.
Hmm.
I just like the whole deal making aspect. After Curtis, I watch with a whole different eye.
Hmm.
Very
Yeah.
different.
So you had mentioned before the book Built to Sell.
Hmm. Hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that book.
So that book, I've given away 600 copies. I'm happy to give it away to anyone. I have the PDF. So I have given away over 600. And the reason I did that is because it's told in a story format. So it's
Hmm.
very easy to read. But it walks you through someone selling their business who really did not, the business was not built to sell at the time he wanted to sell it, and how making some changes to that business created a higher evaluation, which allowed him to get what he wanted in pricing. Because sometimes what we want is how we feel, but the numbers don't add up. So if it's not really making sense, it might make sense to you, but on paper, what does that look like? And I found that book, especially after being a 30-year entrepreneur, I was like, these are things that I just did not learn. You learn typically when you start a business, you learn how to start a business plan. A lot of places will give you money, like we've seen during the pandemic, but taking good money and throwing it after things that are just not working is something we have to get out of, especially in the Black community. We got to get out of everything that's a problem is not solved by money. It's not always solved by money. Sometimes the problem is how we view business in the first place. So sometimes it's the languaging and what we think and what we understand and where are you trying to go with this. So the languaging of built to sell, as a person who's had brick and mortar businesses and online, there were just so many missing pieces that I was not privy to. I thought I had really done a good job being an entrepreneur all these years. But just like in the book, The Cash Flow Quadrant, all I did was create a job for myself. So perhaps I did have that freedom we talk about, but I couldn't leave for 6 months and and my business still continued to run. It just opened my eyes to doing things in a different way. And that, for me, it gave us hope as a community. For me, it gave us hope because it said, it's not that I was just telling somebody the other day, I don't like the word disadvantaged. I don't like it because I feel like we're more than capable if we have access to the information, right?
Yeah, we need the same opportunities and same information. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not disadvantaged because
Mhm.
we're more than capable. I mean, if people could see what we're doing inside of that mastermind, people who were not in this position, but are now micro private equity firms, we're talking in less than a year.
Mhm.
Businesses are being bought. We are doing things because we're doing them in a different way.
Mhm.
And so we're not disadvantaged. I'm not going to take that, I have a nonprofit and they like us to use that word, but I don't like it because we are capable of doing whatever. If we had the information and the information is there, we just perhaps don't know what we don't know to ask. So for me, and I think you too, when we went through the innovation piece with Curtis, changed everything for me.
Mhm.
Changed
Uh,
everything.
Tawana talks about it all the time. She
Changed
doesn't look
everything.
at things as the same anymore. Yeah.
I don't either. I can come up with um, I can come up with a solution to most problems now. And I
Mhm.
thought I was pretty good at that before.
Mhm.
But I mean, I can really flip that script with innovation.
Mhm.
So one of the things I tell people is that, like I said, we just went through this pandemic and it's innovation that hurt us. Lack of innovation.
Lack of, yeah.
Lack of innovation.
Well,
We
it forced people to get their tech right
yeah,
faster, and
yeah,
those who didn't really had a hard time.
yeah, yeah. Because sometimes
Mhm.
the money just allows you to last a little longer,
Mhm.
but if you aren't putting things in place that are innovative, then all it's doing is buying you time,
Yeah.
right? What we want
Yeah.
is longevity. We want longevity. We want to be able to take things to the next level. And if we are short for cash, then buying a business can be our entryway into an area that, think about a business that's been 10 or 15 years. They put 10 or 15 years of blood, sweat, and tears. And here you come and you're coming in while it's profitable. Think about that. That's powerful. If you really, really think about.
Yeah. But there were so many people. Um, who is this? Oh, this is Latoya. Latoya, I hope you're okay. Um, so, yeah, there are people, when I first got introduced to buying businesses, it had, they didn't call it innovation, but there was this
Mhm.
piece of it where I was taught, look, you look for businesses that are not technology savvy, which is
Mm,
why I had mentioned, Gen X and millennials. When I was taught initially, it was find a business that's doing well offline, brick and mortar, but they don't have anything or not much of a presence online. And
mhm.
then what you do is you buy the business and then you get, for example, their Google Places up and running. You get their, and this was like in the mid 2000s. So,
Wow.
Facebook was just getting started and things like that. And that was the way that the innovation came, from that point. Cause I was learning from some people who were teaching us
Mhm,
about
mhm.
online marketing and things like that back in those days. So yeah, but I think that there are, for example, today there are NFTs. For
Yeah,
example, there
yeah.
are things with the blockchain that are forthcoming, things with the metaverse that are forthcoming.
Mhm.
And there are always, like just number one is, do they have their operations like really maximized? Because a lot
Right.
of people don't, right?
Mhm,
So if you're able
mhm,
to go and fix that,
mhm,
then,
mhm.
then you've got like a lot of the issues fixed. And then there are a
Yeah.
lot of businesses that still don't have their technology totally efficient. How do you fix that? And then, there are other things that they are able to add on as well, with regards to Web3 and things like that. So
Mhm.
I think there's some amazing opportunities that are going to be forthcoming with regards to this. A lot of people did ask you, how do they get the book? So let's make sure that we answer that for people. How do
Oh,
people get
okay.
the book?
So they can just email me. Just email me and put in the subject request book.
Okay, can you type
Robyn,
your
yeah.
email in and send it to
Let's
everybody? I'll talk
see.
for a second. And then YouTube,
Okay.
we got 20 people watching, 16 likes. I need some more likes, please. Get the likes up for me, please. Facebook, hello, how are you all doing tonight as well? Okay, so yeah. Okay. So Robyn has put
There
her
we go.
information in. I'm going to make sure that all of my people on YouTube get to see it as well. So again, Robyn, tell people that this
Mhm.
is for, I'm going to put it here on the screen so everybody can see it. If people want a copy of this book, again, explain what it is.
So the book is Built to Sell, and Built to Sell talks about how you create a business that one. So let me go back to the very first, the book Bible what for all of this, where everything pretty much comes from, is the E Myth by Michael Gerber.
Mm-hmm.
The E Myth, that book's been out over 20 years, and it is the foundation that you need for starting a business. And one of the things it says is there's only two reasons to start a business. One is to grow it. The other one is to sell it. But when you start with the E Myth, and you'll hear most people that are in business, is one of the things I ask people before I go into business with them, have they read the E Myth?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like the business person's Bible. I even heard Mark Cuban talking about it once. So it talks about you understanding how business works, or the team that you're building. So once you do
Mm-hmm.
that, then you get to, you want to sell your business, and you should build your business with the thought process that one day you're going to sell it. So Built to Sell takes you through that story, and it takes you through the process of a business owner. It's literally like you're watching a movie. And you hear I read it in one day. Um, but it is, before you get started, we like to prep you for what you are going to encounter in this space. What do you look for? What are some of the red flags that you should be aware of when you are talking to business owners that are out there? You have to understand it. At least you don't have to be an expert at it, but you need to at least understand the language. So when you read Built to Sell, and that is the book that, like I said, I'll send everybody a PDF, that they go through this person's wanting to sell their business. They can't get for it what they believe they should be able to get. And it
Mm-hmm.
tells you why. So it walks you through the process of how they're running their business. And I think for us in particular, built to sell, yes. It's how we do business. It really is. It's like what you said about operations. We have to learn the keys to doing business. Now, if you decide and that's
Sorry.
all I want to do is be a solo. If you want to just be a solopreneur, you have to decide, well, what is it that you want your business to do? Because if you want to build a business for generational wealth, that's very different than being a solopreneur. A solopreneur, it's nearly impossible for you to build a generational wealth business.
It's actually
So
impossible. It's
yeah,
impossible.
I
No,
was
no, no,
trying to
don't
be
no.
nice.
So I have a solopreneur business and it is, I won't say valueless, but it's valueless, right?
Yeah,
With because I have to be here in order for it to run.
exactly.
So when you talk about generational wealth, one of the things, there's a couple of actually interesting things that's happening. Number one is there are families now that are starting businesses that can be generational businesses, whether
Uh-huh.
it's
Uh-huh.
cleaning businesses, it's HVAC businesses, it's
Yep.
restaurants, it's anything like that where any family member can always get a job in the family business or businesses, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we see a lot of our counterparts, ethnic counterparts do that very well. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing is that there are a lot of baby boomers now who have these really strong businesses that their kids do not want.
Right.
And a lot of them are blue collar businesses,
Yep.
right? Or, like the father may be an accountant, but the millennial son is like, I don't want to be an accountant. I want to do this, that, and the third over here.
Mm-hmm.
So when dad is ready to retire, he's like, well, my kids don't want this business and I
Mm-hmm.
don't want it to just, dissolve it.
Right.
So there are going to be, so generational wealth, when we talk about this, is it's an asset just like a house in a way, because dad is going to be able to sell that business. Now he could sell it to one of us, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
But dad is able to sell that business and still leave wealth to, or at least some money to his kids and his grandkids. But it's because he built it in such a way that it could be sold.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
if you watch Undercover Boss, I
Hmm.
love that show, Undercover Boss. You'll notice that a lot of times they're replacing a CEO.
Hmm.
So if you build a business correctly, even if because 90% of your kids don't want to run your business.
Hmm.
Okay,
That's
that's
true.
those are the
Hmm.
numbers. It's 90%. And but if you build the business correctly, and if you have it set up correctly legally, think about this. Walmart, Coca-Cola, Ford, all of these companies, the CEOs that are in those businesses are not family members.
Hmm.
They're not family members.
True.
It's being run by a qualified CEO.
Hmm.
And we see that in the Fortune 500 world. Walmart, yeah, we know the family and, different businesses, but that's not generational. When you watch Undercover Boss and you see a CEO come in, sometimes they were part of the family, but a lot of times they were not.
Yeah.
So you're building the entity, which is one of the things Curtis talks about so much all the time, is that we're not coming in to change the name. So we're not coming in, we're not trying to change the name. We want
Hmm.
that entity of that business, and that is what is going to carry on. And
Yeah.
that's why some of the sellers, the business owners, they will carry the paper because they're getting to see that legacy that they built carry on.
Hmm.
That's one of the reasons they might do that. But we have to think about the structure and how that structure can carry on. There's a book called What Would the Rockefellers Do? Talks about that. It talks about
Yeah, I don't
why
think
the
I've heard of that one. I've heard of the Rockefeller principles or something like that. I read that
yeah,
many
there's
years
one
ago.
called What Would the Rockefellers Do?
Okay.
And it talks about how the entity carried on for so many years, and there's
Hmm.
rules applied with it when the insurance it's a whole process. It's set up
Mm-hmm.
in a particular way for that entity to last, and there's rules and there's
Mm-hmm.
everything with it. You can't. The kids don't just get money.
Mm-hmm.
Like there have to come with the governing parts of it. Whoever's governing that they have to come and give a specific plan. They have rules set up for that. Oh, see, there you go. Somebody just put the name of the
Yeah,
book.
look, Talisha is on it.
Yeah,
Talisha
she
is
is. Yeah,
definitely
she
on
really
it.
is.
So,
But that's another thing I want to talk about is that Curtis, the way we've been educated or the way because we're reading the right books too.
mhm,
That's important to read the right books.
yeah, I
And
agree.
those books are opening our mind to the possibility of doing things. And that's why I say we're not disadvantaged. We're just not getting the right information sometimes. That's all.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Number one is Talisha and Tawana have a micro private equity company that
Yep.
was started thanks to Robyn and Curtis. So Talisha is going to put her contact information in the chat. And if you all want to learn more about some of the investments that they're doing and you want to take a look at some of the things that they're doing, I 1,000% support Talisha and Tawana in this. I'm like so elated that people have actually gotten on the bandwagon with regards to this. You can be an active business buying person or you could be a passive business buying person. So, this is one way for you to be passive in your business buying journey, right? Or get access to more deals, either one.
Yeah.
The other thing is that think about this as all a part of building your portfolio. Even though Curtis talks about buying the business in order to increase the valuation and sell it in 2 years, you don't necessarily have to do that.
No.
If the business is doing well, then it's just like real estate. If
Yep.
you have a cash flowing piece of real estate and you're thinking about building generational wealth, and you're putting it potentially in your trust, check with your attorney because I ain't an attorney, but let's say that you're starting your family investment club and your family may not be your blood. It may just
Mm-hmm.
be a group of people who you say, I'm going to start this investment club with this group of people. You want to think about having different assets in that family bank, that family investment club. Some of the assets will be stocks, some of them will be I bonds, tax liens, real estate, but you may have some things that are cash flowing businesses.
Yep.
And imagine if you had a family investment club that bought 10 of those businesses at $68,000 a piece that
Mm-hmm.
were cash flowing you $4,000 a month. Well, then your family is cash flowing $40,000 a month. And that's not even your entire portfolio. When we
Yeah.
start asking how the rich get richer, when we start asking how are these kids able to go to college and not get out with $100,000 plus in debt because the family was able to cut the check for them to go to college and get that good degree without it, if it's even going to be necessary, but right? Like if they're going for something where they actually need a degree. Or how did that kid get their first house with and get the 20% to put down? These are the types of things when we start thinking generational wealth, you can add these types of things to your portfolio. And the things that Robyn and Curtis are teaching and Tawana and Talisha and others are getting involved in, these things can actually set your family up for true generational wealth. Not every family is the Rockefellers, but I was listening to a woman yesterday or a couple of days ago on YouTube. She has money coming from a family trust every single month. Now, she didn't say how much it was, but imagine if it was a few $1,000s.
Uh-huh.
And she's a stay-at-home mom. She has a husband who is able to take care of and provide for her. But she comes from a family that is every single month she gets a check from the family bank. That can be our children, that could be our grandchildren, that could be us in retirement. So I just kind of want to put that thought in people's heads, and get you to really kind of think and expand on um, what's possible for your portfolio.
Absolutely. That that collective uh, group economics,
Mhm,
that is something that has so much power in it when you get the right people
mhm,
involved. And that's why the collaboration with the 10K project was so powerful, is because you guys were already educating people in opening up their eyes to the possibilities of so many different things. You know, with the startup every Tuesday, um, that's where I learned about Arlen, was from
mhm.
your show. It really is just fishing in the right uh, pond. It's really fishing in the right pond.
It is.
And once you do that, it opens up the possibilities. They become limitless.
Mhm.
Because if there's something I don't know, there's somebody in the group who, because the way we think is different, we look and see things differently now. Look at, she's putting everything up. See,
Yeah,
that's teamwork, right?
I was gonna answer about the mastery book whenever Robyn is done. I wanna let her finish her what she's saying.
You're muted.
Oh, you can't hear me? Is that better? Can you hear me? No,
You're still muted.
I
You're
am?
muted.
Okay. Microphone. Can y'all hear me? Oh, people are saying yes. Oh, y'all can hear me.
Yeah, we hear
Okay.
you now. We hear you.
Okay. All right. Well, I just changed the microphone. Um, yeah, I wanted you to answer. I was going to answer the question about the E-Myth Mastery because I've read both. Um,
Yeah.
did you finish though? I wanted to make sure you finished.
Well, no, it's just that the everything that we're saying, it all comes together because the whole collective, when you work together, it sounds like a cliche, teamwork makes the dream work, but it's true.
Mhm, mhm.
If you have the right team and everybody's on a journey to learn and to inform and to support and then to make money together, it does work.
Yeah.
I think this is the way, it's so much information out there in social media world.
Mhm.
This is the way I envision things going for people who really want to get ahead, is to create community. You guys created community with the 10K project. We
Mhm.
created community with our mastermind. That's how things are going to get done. They're going to get
Yeah.
done with people. You don't want to, you don't need 10,000 people, or you
No.
don't need them.
Even though we'd like to have them because we are the
Well, of
10K
course.
project.
Right, right. But for what we're doing in these smaller communities, you don't need, it's like people say, you don't
You,
need thousands of likes. You just need the people who are willing, on the same mission and willing to do the work. And we're doing it together. There's none of this quote unquote crabs in the barrel stuff, because we all need each other to win.
yeah,
And
it's true.
so it's working really well for us, and the group and the mastermind, and um, some of our best students come from the 10K project. The best
We have some
people,
of the best people, we really do. And,
really do. Yeah.
I wanted to answer Chasma's question about the E-Myth Mastery. So I've read both. So E-Myth, there's the first E-Myth book,
Hmm.
which is probably, I don't know, 150 pages or something like
Yeah.
that. Then there's
We
the
just,
E-Myth Mastery that's like this huge book,
mhm.
which is 800 pages. I probably am not even exaggerating, but I've read both. I'm telling you, you don't need E-Myth Mastery.
Yeah.
As somebody who read it, read the small myth, read,
Hmm.
because that one was really good, and it really is about how do you take your business and build business systems with it. Just like
Yeah.
if you were to go to the Four Seasons Hotel.
Hmm.
If you were to go to the Four Seasons Hotel, you would have a similar experience when you walk up to the front desk.
Hmm.
Your bed would be made a specific way. Your room would be cleaned a specific way.
the check-in would be very specific, etc.
Mhm.
How do you do that within your business? And the
Right.
E-Myth talks about that. It talks about it in story form,
Mhm.
with a woman named Sarah who has a pie company.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they talk about, like, how do you do this for a pie company, but it's in story form. But ultimately, it's like, okay, how do I relate that to my business? I'm a mechanic. I'm a business plan writer. I'm a micro private equity firm. Everybody needs these systems in place, and then to be able to train. This is where Michael gets a little controversial, but he says, how could you hire the least skilled person to do this job and still do it at whatever minimal level is possible? So,
So you
mhm,
know what he means by that is the example they use for McDonald's. A 16-year-old
yes, mhm,
can run a McDonald's. So sometimes people, take that. No, it's the truth.
mhm,
If you put a system in place, you don't have to be a chef to follow a recipe. If I mean, granted it can help, but there are shows on there. If you have the right system and you follow the system, you do things in a certain way. That's the book, The Science of Getting Rich, talks about that. When you do things in a certain way, you get rich every single time because you do
mhm,
things in a specific way. So you could have the same kind of business right by each side, but it's because of the way they do things. It tends to be with so many things. For example, with your time management, I'm really big on time management. Time management is key.
mhm,
So when I see people, that I have a friend when we go places and she always can't find her keys, or it takes her, and I'm thinking, if you had
a
a
system.
system,
Mhm,
you would not be going through this, because you would know where things are. You would know where to just put it
mhm,
in the same place every time.
mhm,
I'm constantly having this
yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, my mother and I live together, and like, I will put my keys up in a specific place, and
mhm,
sometimes she'll need to change the cars around. And when
yep,
she does, sometimes I'm like, why didn't you put my keys back where they were? Because then you spend 20 minutes looking for your keys. It's kind of the same thing, like Robyn
it
is
is.
saying. But even with the accounting firm that I had talked about, where the junior partner bought out the senior partner,
Mhm.
they still have a minimal skilled person that they need to do the taxes within, because they don't do bookkeeping, so they do taxes, right? And the now this is some of the frustration of being a business owner, but the accountant has been giving um, new graduates, new
Mhm.
accounting graduates, he's been giving them this accounting test in order to see if they have the minimal skills in order to join his accounting firm. And he's saying that a lot of people are failing. So, but still, it doesn't matter like what it is. It could be rocket science. Well,
Yeah,
there's a minimal skill that the person needs to be a part of your rocket science consulting company. And you need to figure out what that minimum skill is. How do you test that person for it? And
mhm,
then how do you figure out, once you have a person who has the minimum skill that you need, how do you train them in the way that you want the rocket science team done so that that person can be successful? So
yeah.
that's kind of, yeah, that is the whole process of it. And we have someone
Mhm.
in YouTube, Extra Money, saying we need lessons like this. That's why you
We do.
came.
Yeah,
That's why you came. So,
because you know what, Cherie, it's not the lessons that this person is speaking about, is the conversation.
mhm,
So the conversation needs to be had to get you in the right frame of mind to then move forward, to be
mhm,
able to do the, as you said, the minimal. It's like a prerequisite.
mhm,
You can't go to the next class until there's a prerequisite to that class, because
mhm.
they need to know that you can do the basic. Can you do that?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it is that those are some of the missing pieces or
Mhm,
conversations.
mhm,
When I had my restaurant, we just, he had 2 restaurants before. He played in the NFL. He had a restaurant in the NFL,
Mhm.
had a restaurant after, and then we got one together.
You had a
I
restaurant in
didn't.
the NFL.
No, he did. My business partner did.
What do you
He
mean
had
a
a restaurant
restaurant in the
when he
NFL?
played for the NFL. When he played for the
Oh,
NFL,
okay.
he
All
had a
right. All right.
restaurant. Yeah, so he had a restaurant when he played for the NFL. Then he had a
Okay.
restaurant when he retired.
Okay.
And then him and I decided to do a restaurant. He
Mhm.
had the experience. I didn't have any restaurant experience. I never even
Mhm.
worked at a restaurant when I was a teen.
Mhm.
Um, but it was a different conversation.
Mhm.
He was just a worker bee. He worked really
Mhm.
hard. He knew how
Mhm.
to do the food prep and all of this stuff. He knew how to
Mhm.
do that.
Mhm.
But taking it to the next level where you could have
Mhm.
franchised it or opened up multiple locations,
Mhm.
that conversation was never had. And I say
Mhm.
that to mean there are a lot of us who are hard workers.
Mhm.
We could work hard. We could do the work because you're literally transitioning from if you worked at a company and now you work for yourself, a lot of people are great workers.
Yeah.
So you bring that same work ethic to working for yourself, but that's not enough.
Mhm.
It's not enough. It's not enough. If you're trying to get to the next level, it's not enough. And it's something like when you buy in the stock market. When you buy in the stock market, you're either buying off of emotion or you're buying off of you've done an evaluation of that. Because what is a stock? A stock is a business. A stock is a business
Yeah. It's you. You're a shareholder in a business.
in a
Hold that
business.
thought for a second.
Mhm.
Dr. Virginia, do you work for a big company or a small company? I need to know that answer before I respond to you. You work for a big company or a small company? Go ahead, Robyn. I want to respond to Virginia, but I need to know that first. But go ahead, finish up.
Do I work for a big
No,
company? Oh,
Virginia in the
oh,
chat. She knows who she is.
oh,
I want
okay.
to see if she works for. Okay, I thought that was going to be your response. I have a response for you, but go ahead, Robyn.
Well,
Go ahead and
and
finish up.
yeah, and what I was saying is when you buy a stock, you purchase a share of a business.
Mhm.
So did you buy the stock because you're excited about it,
Mhm.
or did you do the evaluation of the stock?
Mhm.
Did you because it's all public knowledge, right?
Mhm.
What we're teaching is those are the same things that a Fortune 500 company has to have: profit, loss, a budget, all of these things. Those are the things we should be modeling our business off of that.
Yeah.
Not just buying it because it my friend said it or it sounds like a good deal. We got to do better than that. So that was my point about looking at how you buy your shares of business in a different way. Run your
Yeah.
business the same way.
So, Virginia, I've been a small business owner for many years, so I'm going to give you some thoughts and comments with regards to what you said. So, you said that my HR prerequisite is to hire for values and train for skills. And I asked you if you work for a big company or a small company, and you said you work for a big company. I'm going to tell you something. When you are a big company, if somebody comes to work for you, and you have them on for 6 months and they don't work out, the blow to your budget, to your profit and loss, to your revenues is much less than if you are a solopreneur or someone with 3, 5, 10 employees. In small business, we don't we don't hire for attitude. We want a person with a good attitude, but we hire for skill because in a small business, if you have 10 people in that business and one person is incompetent, you got a 10% incompetency in that business. If you work for a large business and one person is incompetent, it's infinitesimal to the structure of the business. Yeah, I knew you would understand what I was saying, but this is a teaching moment because a lot of people leave corporate America, they leave big Fortune 500, and they come into the super small small business world, and you can't take a lot of things that, well, there are some things you cannot take from big companies, of which I've worked for a big company before, and translate it into small business.
Mhm.
It'll, you know, there are, I'll never forget this. I worked for a company, and it was a mid-sized company. And this gentleman who had come in, he was a new hire, and he said, I need this new software. It's $50,000. And my boss looked at him like, we don't have $50,000. You better figure it out in Excel. Right? You know? And he's looking around like, what are you talking about? He's like, we don't have that kind of budget here. You better figure it out some other way. So yeah, these are some of the things that it's important for even my accountant. Like, he has maybe 7, 8 people working in his office. He can't afford a bad hire, especially doing taxes. He can't afford a bad hire. So yeah. Robyn, people are asking about the Business Buying Masterclass. They're asking about, when is the next masterclass? We haven't spoken about it. Robyn and Tawan and I haven't spoken about the next date of the masterclass, but go ahead.
Yeah, so this is what we're doing now, because we're getting so many people asking. And yet the mastermind that we have right now is right in the middle of buying 2 to 3 businesses a month. It's a major project that's going on. And then, we're going through a merger and acquisition too, and bringing on another company. So what we're doing is, and you will be given your to the 10K project, that we have the self-paced course. So there is a self-paced course that you guys can send out to the members, or put in there for them, that they can go through the course on their own, at their own pace.
Okay.
And then once they do that, so that is now becoming the prerequisite to the mastermind. You've got to, and it's really, they'll hear some of you in there because there's some recorded classes that are there, but that's the prerequisite right now to the mastermind, because the mastermind is really taken off. Like the 10K project did just an amazing job putting people in there. These people could go out and literally teach. They could literally go out and show businesses how to increase their evaluation. I think some people are doing that. They could speak the language to up and coming businesses as a business coach. These are some of the skill sets that they picked up. In the mastermind, we're working on speed, because this is going to be the next large wealth transfer. We know that. We know it. And just to give an example, my middle son, sometimes your kids aren't really interested in the things you do. They see Uncle Curtis and so they're not paying attention. So my son went through NACA. Are you familiar with NACA, the home thing?
Yeah, but everybody, it's how people can get down payments for homes.
Exactly. So he went through that. And he said, and he works for the airline. He came to me because we live in California and homes are expensive out here. And he said, Mom, why would I go spend $500,000 on a house when I could buy a business for $68,000 that's cash flowing for $4,000, and I could buy 4 or 5? Mom, well, I don't understand, Mom. Why would I? Because he made that observation, because what is everybody telling someone 30 years, you need to go buy a house, you need to go buy a house. But he's thinking, but for $68,000, I could go buy a business and then I can go live, because he likes to travel. He's thinking, I don't care about that. I just want to have the money coming in, and I have the money. So it's really, when you see it to start to stick, right? When you see them look at those numbers and then pick it up. And then, he got Arlen's book too. And we need to have those conversations. We have to have those conversations because I think it's just something we're not aware of, and we haven't
Mhm.
shown the numbers. And like I've noticed several people talking about the emotion that's inside of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's great that it's great to start your own business, absolutely. But I can tell you, I've lost $100,000 starting my own business. And it was a business that if I had known or looked, I probably could have found one that was already out there and saved
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
The I didn't do anything. I wasn't creating an electric car. I wasn't, like, and I literally over these years have bought businesses that did exist, but I didn't know it was a thing.
Mhm.
But now that we've got the next 10, 20 years, the baby boomers are retiring, it's like a candy store out there. It's
Yeah. I'll give you another story I've been telling 10K Project community. Uh, I know two gentlemen, both Black, who
mhm,
are in negotiations to buy a trucking business. The
yeah,
trucking business, you've heard this story before, Robyn. The trucking business is owned by a white person.
mhm,
So now this business, once they buy it, will be Black owned. And
yep,
as I'm talking to one of the, and I happen to know both of the guys, but as I'm
mhm,
talking to one of them, I said, oh, well, then you all should go and get your MBE and start going for these government contracts because they know one of them really knows the government
mhm,
contracting space. And they said, never thought about that. But yeah, you're right. We should do
yeah,
that. So
right,
as we're turning businesses Black owned, you'll
mhm,
be surprised. The government buys everything. And when we say everything, we mean everything, including
mhm,
personal care services.
mhm,
So if you're going
mhm,
out, you're buying these businesses, what if let's say you buy a business from a Black person, but they don't know the government contracting piece and how to get money from the government, state, federal, or local, right?
mhm,
These are different multipliers that you
yep,
get, within the 10K project that you learn about where you're like, now all of a sudden you start creating a checklist of things that can be done. And
yeah,
then as you are evaluating a business, you
mhm,
don't just evaluate it for the current price, but you also ask, what things can I put in here in order to increase the business?
yeah.
So yeah, look, extra money. You should have been here at the beginning, my dear. Are there any websites that shows businesses for sale? Yes, there are. If you want to rewind,
Yeah.
we talked about several of them, so just rewind. We're going to actually start wrapping up now. So,
Yeah. And I
um,
just want to say one thing too, Cherie.
mhm,
And not to be, but honestly, Google really is your friend.
mhm,
It really is your friend.
mhm,
There are so many things that it'll get you in the vicinity of what and the reason I say that is because one of the things that you need to do in this the in the mastermind or just in this industry alone of buying businesses, you got to be creative.
mhm,
I want you to. I had a boss once, uh, and he said to me, he said, and I'll never forget this. He said, "I'm going to promote the next person that figures it out, that acts like I'm not here. That's who I'm promoting. The
uh-huh,
person that acts like I'm not here, and their life depends on it."
mhm,
Those are the conversations that we need to have. We need to have
mhm,
conversations like this, like the conversations that you have at the 10K project, because it's not, and I'm going to keep saying this, it's not that we're disadvantaged. We just haven't had the conversation. And how do you have a conversation about something you don't know?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Oh,
Talisha makes a good point here. Learning how to use Google efficiently is a skill set.
mhm,
I will agree with that as well. I actually took, I don't know if it was a class or whatever it was, but it was several years ago, like how to use Google, and
mhm,
understanding the different ways of searching
yep,
for information. The information is out there for us. We just have to know how to search.
mhm,
And I also am a fan of having networks as well of
yep,
people who can walk you through the door, get you in the room, etc. The other thing is that once you start moving and people see you in motion, you'll be surprised what slides into your DMs, what shows up in your emails. And I'm not saying slide in your DMs like,
I know it's
sexually. I mean, just like somebody will say, hey, I was speaking to such and such a person and they have a business for sale and I know you're into that. Like you want to get people are asking what websites you go to. The best deals are off market deals. Just like the best houses in real estate are off market. They're not in the MLS. They're not on Zillow. It's somebody calling you saying, I really need to sell this house. If you can buy it from me, I'll sell it to you, right?
Right.
It's the same thing with businesses. If you start putting yourself out there and you get in the game, people are going to start sending you really good opportunities. The other thing is there are a lot of businesses out there where the entrepreneur, they want to make sure that the company is still going to be intact, that it's still going to service its customers, that it's still going to keep maybe a certain employee who's a really good employee. They want to make sure that they're not selling that business to somebody who's going to break it up and, and sell it for parts. Well, those entrepreneurs are going to be very picky about who they sell that business to. And if you're the right person that can say, okay, I'm going to make sure that I carry on the legacy of this business for you, you can get like better terms with people and things like that. I want to give it to you, Robyn, for any final comments you have before we
Well,
leave tonight.
what you're saying is so beautiful because it's about building relationships. Everything that we do will build to relationships. I've been on this, what I call my journey to CEO, because I will be the new CEO when we finish this merger and acquisition. And so I went on to LinkedIn. In this piece, I want you to understand just how letting people know what you do. Use social media to your benefit, or use it. I'm here for the business. I'm not here for, what I mean? Every now and then I'll throw it off and say a little something, but honestly, people do business with people they like, trust, and they, like you said, they know if they've seen you talking about this, they will send business your way. It's happening to me on LinkedIn right now. 9 out of 10 CEOs and founders are taking my call. I'm in awe of these people and the knowledge they're sharing with me, and they're so willing to help. It's just it's a little overwhelming because they don't all even look like us, and they're like, what do you need?
No, I look, white people, Asian people help me all the time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what
If
the
you know,
ethnicity is.
right, if you know what you're talking about, this is why this is so important, and we have these conversations. You know what you're talking about. They see you as somebody of influence. Sheree, I have a solar business on the side. I had 12 deals this month.
Good for you.
I didn't do anything. They just came in like you said, in my DMs and said, oh, I saw you talking about that, and I thought you could help me. Okay, great. And then the same thing with buying businesses. These CEOs, CFOs I just had a lady today, and she raises 50,000 as her smallest offering on up, 100, 200,000. And she said, Robyn, let me help you. Let me take you under my wing and help you, because she's building a project in Cabo San Lucas. And she said, I need to show you how this is done. It's amazing, the world that we can open up when we take the initiative to educate ourselves about something, and then somebody will say, I like what you're doing, let me help. It is there. It really is. So like I said, the relationship we have, collaborations are great. What we've done with the 10K project, we have another group called She Boss Girl Talk. We're working with them. these collaborations are beautiful, and they're going to take us to the promised land. I'm telling you, they're wonderful.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
final thing, get your kids involved. You all know I tell you all the time, stop paying your kids allowance. Get them. Now, of course, check with your accountant, check with your attorney, but stop paying these kids allowance. Put them as employees in the family bank, the family investment club. Their job is to do research. Every week they have to come and show you one business, if they bought it, what they would buy it for, all of the lessons that Robyn and Curtis give. Tell them to sit down, take the pre-classes. I'm gonna make sure everybody gets the link to the pre-classes. This is the greatest way for them to get financial literacy, is to actually take in the information and apply it. And every week they have to show up to the family bank meeting with a deal in hand, and the
Yep.
family discusses it and determines if they want to buy the deal or not. And if you find a good deal, money is out there. I will say that as well. Do not let money be the reason why you are not taking advantage of deals. If
Or
you
bring it to
find a
us.
deal,
Yeah, bring it to
if you find a deal, bring it to Robyn, bring it to Tawana or Talisha, or send it to me, info@b10kproject.com. I'll send it to Tawana and Talisha and Robyn. If you bring in a good deal, the money is here.
Absolutely.
The money is here. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much. Robyn, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. Always a pleasure.
All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night for the Bet on Black Pit.